people generally like doing something more like to stick at it if they feel like they're successful at it or feel like they're doing a good job. People generally like doing work that they feel good at. And people also like sticking to a goal if they feel like they're staying on track. And something I did and I taught Roger a while ago, and he's been implementing for a long time, a lot of success, was just regressing kind of expectations around things like training and stuff like that. So, for example, if you get someone and they have a 5-day-a-week program, that's great if they can adhere to 5 days. But let's say they only get 3 days or 4 days in, even though they had a 5-day program and they got 3-4 days. That's great. They did 3-4 days, but they feel shit because they didn't hit the 5 days. Whereas if you knew in advance, they most likely weren't going to get 5 days, and really getting 4 days might have been really hard. If you created them a 3-day-a-week training program and they did it, and they're actually able to achieve it, what happens? They feel good. They feel like they're on top of things. They're actually winning because you've actually created a program to actually their current lifestyle. And all of a sudden, if you had a client who you created a program for and they're doing 5 days, or a 5-day training program, but they only were making 3 days, they'd feel like a loser. They'll be like, fuck this, I can't do this. I'm only doing 3 days, I'm a loser. I'm not getting 2 days. Whereas if you created a 3-day program and they're hitting 3 days, then all of a sudden they feel on top of the world because they're crushing it. So a lot of things I always these days look for is kind of resetting expectations and knowing kind of where people are at, and when kind of setting goals, like, is this goal actually realistic? And, it's easy when you're a coach to kind of be like, oh, I can do epic things for you. I can change your life. I can do all these things. And I'll kind of use another example of, I get a lot of people that message me be like, hey, I want to look like your client here. I'm like, okay, well, she's a pro competitor and a 26-year-old PT. She's like, well, I'm a 44-year-old mum with 4 kids and I work full-time and I work a second job. I'm like, well, your expectations are a little off. So I think from a standpoint of shift workers and stuff like that, it's quite complicated. It's pretty hard, obviously, as a coach as well. But it's kind of my kind of thing would be to maximize the days that they feel good, maximize the days that they're training kind of can train in, during the day and not then finish late at night, then go train and kind of compound the problem. Do your best to get them on a good sleep schedule to the best of their abilities. So they're waking up well, getting sunlight and things like that. And the way I've kind of done it with people in the past is kind of have not so much a fixed, all right, Monday's this, Tuesday's this, Wednesday's this. It's kind of working around their training cycle or their work cycle and their schedule and being a bit more flexible with that. So if it's like this day, cool, you feel really good, you've had good sleep, go do a bigger legs day. If it's this day and you've had poor sleep and you finish this shift and then you've only got a small window, maybe we do an upper body day, less volume, not taking things to failure and stuff like that. A bit more things like auto regulation and volume management, and just educate them on when to push, when not feeling so good, when to regress. And from a fat loss perspective, it's really, again, obviously comes down to adherence, right? So it's kind of having structure, having a plan, setting things that are achievable for them. And a lot of the times less is more. Instead of going, hey, sure, like I personally love putting people on aggressive deficits, 30%. But is that best for this person in these days? So maybe, again, it gets a bit complicated, but do you go more calories on days where they're going to be hungrier and really long hours? And then do you then make up for it by going a little bit more aggressive on those, say, 2 days off they have? So you can kind of calorie cycle to some degree as well.
Awesome. Really appreciate that.
But yeah, like here's the thing, right? Shift work and stuff like that. It's there's no simple, easy formula. Like anyone can go, hey, you're doing all this wrong. Like it's hard coaching people like that. It's hard being a coach. And even when you're listening to me, it's like, yeah, it's easy for me to say, do this, do this, do that. But like, there's clients I haven't got results with in the past. There's clients I get amazing results with, and things happen. But your job is just to continually put them in the best position to do well. And you can only do so much. And it's hard at times, So sometimes it's, again, let's regress things, let's push things when they're feeling good. It's kind of working in synergy. And that's why I really like, I work with my clients long term. And by doing that, it's a lot less pressure. Like, people sign up like, oh, I'm signing up for 6 weeks, get me this all or nothing transformation in 6 weeks. But their life doesn't actually really call for an epic 6-week transformation right now. So it's kind of also having the confidence to get that across to the clients as well in like an initial consultation.